The brain and premonitions, intuition or the play of neurons? When she stepped out of her house that morning, everything seemed ordinary. Yet, something inside nudged her ever so slightly, a chill in her chest, a sudden hesitation. She paused, turned back, and only an hour later did she learn that just a block away, a serious accident had occurred. This is intuition, that subtle whisper that emerges without reason, a sense that feels almost poetic but is increasingly taken seriously by science. Could it be that our brains predict more than we consciously realize? Researchers at Leipzig University have shown that the brain can recognize patterns before we are consciously aware of them. This is not magic, but statistics processed through billions of neural connections. Intuition does not arise from nothing, it is the result of experience, training, and microscopic reactions stored in the hidden recesses of the brain. We may not see it at work, but it is always functioning. Neuropsychologist Jonas Kaplan explains, intuition is the rapid assessment of complex patterns at an unconscious level. What feels like a sudden insight is often a lightning-fast computation. Baruch Spinoza, centuries ago, called intuition the highest form of knowledge, asserting that the mind can perceive truth directly, bypassing logical reasoning. Does that not feel familiar? We have all experienced this. You call a friend and hear, "I was just thinking about you." Or you skip a trip and later learn that something terrible occurred there. How do we know without knowing? Our brains do more than react. They predict. By scanning past experiences, context, and bodily signals, they generate hypotheses about the future. Intuition is prediction encoded in sensation. Studies show that even before a person makes a conscious decision, neurons are already activated in a specific direction. The decision feels free, but the brain has already chosen. Benjamin Libet's famous experiments demonstrated that fractions of a second before a person consciously moves a finger, the brain has already begun the action. Free will, or the intricate play of neurons? And this is precisely where premonition lies. In those fleeting moments, when consciousness remains silent, the body already senses. Intuition is not mysticism, it is the language of the body and subconscious. Philosopher Daniel Dennett offers a contrasting view, suggesting that the feeling of foresight is an illusion created by the mind's need to construct coherent narratives from the chaos of the world. Yet perhaps the truth lies somewhere in between. Intuition may be an ancient survival mechanism as real as pain and as essential as logic. Our brains evolved over millions of years, learning to survive not only through conscious deliberation but also through instantaneous impulses, sometimes called gut feelings or a sixth sense. Today, intuition is studied at Harvard, Cambridge, and the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, where scientists scan the brain during intuitive decision-making, noting activity in the anterior cingulate cortex and amygdala. The amygdala, the brain's oldest part, governs fear, danger, and instinct, often reacting first, long before the frontal cortex engages in reasoning. Have you ever sensed, something is wrong, only to discover it was true moments later? That is your amygdala communicating, giving you a warning through the body, through pause, through an inner chill. Throughout history, there are striking examples. In April 1912, before the Titanic set sail, dozens of passengers suddenly canceled their trips, driven by inexplicable unease. One woman, already on board, turned back, unable to explain her anxiety, later reflecting that she simply could not make herself stay. Among those who avoided the ship was Scottish millionaire Alexander Carlyle, who claimed to have woken in a cold sweat the day before departure and decided to remain ashore. Was this chance, or did the human brain detect signals beyond conscious comprehension? Neuroscience provides a framework. The brain is not just a logic machine but a powerful predictor, continuously comparing the external world to millions of internal models. Within the limbic system, particularly the amygdala and insular cortex, information can be processed instantly, bypassing conscious thought. This rapid analysis may be the basis of premonitions, occurring long before reason can articulate an explanation. At the University of California, studies show that people with stronger connectivity between the amygdala and prefrontal cortex display heightened intuitive sensitivity. They sense something is wrong even when everything appears normal externally, a phenomenon described as an internal early warning system. Nobel laureate Daniel Kahneman, in his book Thinking, Fast and Slow, distinguishes between two modes of thought: System 1, fast, intuitive, and emotional, and System 2, slow, logical, and rational. System 1 allows immediate action when danger is sensed. Intuition is simply a high-speed analysis based on past experience. Psychologists also note that intuition can be trained. Mindfulness practices, such as body scanning meditation, heighten awareness of subtle internal signals. By observing breath, tension, and arising thoughts, we attune to cues that are normally ignored. Differentiating intuition from anxious fantasy is critical. Calm, confident signals are intuitive, whereas panic or catastrophic scenarios are fear-driven, not foresight. Documenting intuitive moments helps. Keeping a journal of sensations and their outcomes trains discernment between meaningful signals and noise. In high-risk professions, firefighters, surgeons, pilots, rescuers, intuition is often life-saving. The University of Texas confirmed that experienced professionals activate action patterns long before conscious awareness. Intuition, then, sits at the delicate intersection of neural computation and instinct, guiding, warning, and sometimes misleading us. Social psychology experiments underscore that intuition often arises from accumulated knowledge. At Harvard, participants evaluated neutral faces paired with fictitious biographies. Many reported sensing danger in the faces associated with criminal backgrounds, suggesting the brain can form intuitive judgments even before explicit knowledge is presented. Spinoza's idea of true intuition as direct apprehension of essence finds resonance in modern neuroscience. The insula, amygdala, and prefrontal cortex form networks that monitor bodily signals, facial expressions, and micro-movements, often faster than conscious awareness. Social intuition, rapidly detecting intentions or threats, evolved as a survival tool and continues to guide decisions in modern life, from assessing trust to negotiating contracts or choosing relationships. Yet intuition is not infallible. It is shaped by biases, past experiences, and fear. A gesture may be interpreted differently depending on personal history, highlighting the need to check intuitive insights against reality. Experiments by social psychologist John Bargh show that subtle factors, such as holding a warm or cold drink, influence social judgments, reminding us that intuition can be subtly manipulated. Balancing intuition requires reflection. Techniques like 3 questions: is this feeling from the present or past, based on fact or imagination, and what can I do now, help distinguish authentic signals from reactive patterns. Neuroplasticity allows us to retrain intuition, aligning bodily signals with current reality rather than past trauma. Psychologist Lisa Feldman Barrett emphasizes that the brain predicts reality rather than simply recording it, meaning our intuitive responses can evolve through awareness and practice. Meditation enhances prefrontal cortex activity while dampening overreactive amygdala responses, fostering sensitivity without false alarms. Walking quietly through nature or observing one's breath can bring the brain into an alpha state, conducive to creative insights and intuitive clarity. Jung's active imagination, letting thoughts arise freely and observing them without judgment, uncover subconscious wisdom. Entrepreneurs and creators often tap this inner guidance, feeling decisions emerge as shifts in bodily sensation, before words or logic articulate them. Intuition is ancient yet delicate, the voice of our body, heart, and rhythm. Clarissa Pinkola Estes describes it as the soul speaking to the body. Like music or poetry, intuition cannot be forced but must be heard. It guides toward life, away from danger, through unseen currents of experience. Paying attention to subtle bodily signals, journaling, meditating, and slowing down allows us to reconnect with this inner guidance. The modern world demands speed, Yet intuition whispers slowly, and only when we listen can it truly be trusted. Every time a child refuses an unfamiliar room and is later proven right, every time an artist senses a canvas is incomplete, or a physician perceives danger before tests confirm it, we witness the quiet power of intuition. It is responsibility, courage, and life itself, requiring attention, patience, and sometimes the willingness to act against convention. So, if you feel an inexplicable nudge, pause. Place your hand on your chest. Ask, what am I feeling today? Let the sensation exist without judgment. Close your eyes before a decision, imagine each option, and observe your body's response. Warmth, lightness, or tension reveal what reason alone may miss. Intuition is the bridge between mind and body, past and future, knowledge and feeling, and when we honor it, we become fully alive. If you enjoyed this exploration of the science and philosophy of intuition, subscribe to our channel, share this video with someone curious about the mysteries of the mind, and leave a comment with your own experiences of intuition. Science and story converge here, illuminating the subtle genius of our own brains. In one of the most remarkable contemporary studies, neuroscientist Dean Radin at the Institute of Noetic Sciences conducted experiments on human premonition, testing whether people could unconsciously anticipate random events. Volunteers were asked to predict which of two images would appear on a screen before the image was selected by a random generator. Remarkably, their skin conductance and heart rate changed milliseconds before the image appeared, suggesting the body responds to information before conscious awareness. Radin's work sparked both controversy and fascination, inviting dialogue between skeptics and those willing to explore the boundaries of human perception. Intuition, then, seems to straddle the line between known and unknown, between probability and experience. In daily life, we may call it a hunch, but it functions as an internal algorithm, analyzing innumerable cues, facial microexpressions, shifts in tone, subtle environmental changes, and memory traces that have been too small or fragmented for conscious attention. Each of these tiny signals is weighed and processed, creating a composite sense of what may happen next. Consider the story of Clara, a young emergency nurse in London. On her first week in the ICU, she felt inexplicably uneasy about a patient whose vital signs seemed stable. Though colleagues saw no reason for concern, she insisted on double-checking the blood work. Hours later, a hidden infection was discovered just in time to prevent a crisis. Clara reflected later, "I didn't know why I felt it, my hands just itched to do something." Her story mirrors countless real-world examples where intuitive insight saved lives, highlighting the tangible impact of subconscious processing. Philosophically, intuition invites parallels with ancient wisdom traditions. Lao Tzu wrote that the Tao is known not by reason, but by feeling the flow of life. Similarly, Henri Bergson, the French philosopher, distinguished between intellect and intuition, suggesting that true understanding comes from entering the essence of phenomena rather than dissecting them analytically. Modern neuroscience echoes this. Functional MRI scans show that intuitive decision-making activates not only the prefrontal cortex but also areas associated with emotion, memory, and bodily awareness. Biographies of scientists in this field illustrate the intersection of rigorous methodology and personal curiosity. Dean Radin, for instance, has published extensively on parapsychology and consciousness studies, often emphasizing the need for careful controls and reproducibility. He notes, the human nervous system may be subtly attuned to temporal patterns that lie outside our current scientific models. We are only beginning to see the edges of this. Likewise, neuroscientist Rick Hansen has explored how subtle neural changes can encode intuitive learning, showing that repeated attention to positive or meaningful experiences strengthens pathways that support rapid insight. Even the arts reflect intuition's hidden power. In cinema, filmmakers often describe moments where a scene just feels right before editing or dialogue is finalized. Akira Kurosawa, the legendary Japanese director, recounted, that many of his best creative decisions came from gut feelings, a synthesis of years of experience, observation, and emotional resonance. Writers, musicians, and painters alike recognize intuition as a guiding force, often leading them into novel territories that pure analysis could never reach. Premonitions also intersect with probability and chaos theory. Mathematician Benoit Mandelbrot's work on fractals demonstrates that seemingly random systems contain patterns, and the human brain may be sensitive to subtle regularities. For example, an experienced sailor might sense a storm forming before instruments register any changes, relying on minute environmental cues such as shifts in wind, light, or the sound of water against the hull. The body's nervous system can detect these fluctuations at a level that the conscious mind cannot yet parse, translating them into instinctive warning signals. Beyond individual experiences, intuition functions socially. Mirror neurons allow us to simulate others' emotions and intentions, providing rapid social insight. A leader sensing the mood of a team or a teacher noticing a student's confusion before it is verbalized demonstrates how intuitive processes facilitate understanding and empathy. Philosophers like David Hume noted that moral judgments often arise not from reason but from immediate emotional resonance, a concept mirrored in modern studies showing that ethical decisions frequently occur in milliseconds, guided by intuition. Stories from scientific practice illustrate the subtle power of predictive insight. Dr. Brian Weir, a cardiologist, describes a case where a patient appeared healthy during routine checks, but he felt an inexplicable urgency to run further tests. Days later, early-stage heart disease was identified. Dr. Weir attributes his accuracy to listening to the body's whispers, not just the lab reports. Such examples underscore the integrative nature of intuition, a synthesis of sensory data, prior knowledge, and subconscious pattern recognition. In literature, intuition has always held a narrative charm. In Dostoevsky's novels, characters often act on hunches, experiencing sudden insights that reveal hidden truths about themselves or society. Similarly, in modern psychological thrillers, protagonists' premonitions drive plotlines, echoing our own fascination with the invisible threads connecting perception and reality. These literary depictions, though fictional, resonate because they reflect human experience. Modern research explores the physiological basis of premonition and intuition. Studies measuring electrodermal activity and heart rate variability show that the body often responds to future emotional stimuli before they occur, a phenomenon Radin and others have investigated rigorously. Psychophysiological signals, tiny shifts in skin conductance, subtle muscle twitches, heart rhythm variability, appear to precede conscious recognition. These findings are intriguing not only for their scientific implications but also for what they suggest about the human nervous system's temporal sensitivity. Cognitive neuroscientist Antonia Hamilton emphasizes that intuition is a bridge between cognition and emotion, showing how subconscious processing can enhance adaptive decision-making. In her work on social cognition, she notes that the brain's predictive coding continuously generates hypotheses about others' intentions, often before behavior is explicitly observed. This neural foresight, while imperfect, is remarkably efficient, allowing rapid and often life-saving decisions in dynamic environments. Even everyday decisions illustrate intuition's subtle role. Choosing a route to work, selecting a meal, or deciding whom to trust often involves milliseconds of unconscious computation. While some choices are trivial, others carry profound consequences. Intuition integrates sensory data, memory, emotion, and social cues into a coherent, albeit invisible, framework guiding action. Philosophers and scientists converge on one point: intuition is an integral aspect of human experience. William James described instinctive and intuitive knowledge as immediate and unavoidable, shaping behavior and thought before reflection occurs. Contemporary neuroscience confirms this, revealing that unconscious neural computations often precede conscious awareness. In this light, intuition is not Mysterious but a deeply evolved capability, one that has supported survival, creativity, and social cohesion throughout human history. In the stories of pioneers, artists, and scientists alike, intuition emerges as both a tool and a guide. Physicist Albert Einstein famously credited intuition for many of his breakthroughs, noting that intellectual rigor must be complemented by imaginative insight. Similarly, Nobel laureate Barbara McClintock in genetics followed hunches about maize chromosomes, leading to groundbreaking discoveries in transposable elements. These instances remind us that intuition operates at the interface of experience, observation, and imagination. To cultivate intuition, modern psychology suggests practices ranging from mindfulness to deliberate reflection. Journaling, focused observation, and immersion in natural environments heighten sensitivity to subtle internal and external signals. By training the brain to recognize patterns and attend to bodily cues, intuition can become a reliable guide, complementing rational thought rather than opposing it. The interplay between intuition and prediction underscores the profound interconnectedness of mind and world. Ancient sages and contemporary neuroscientists alike reveal that what we perceive subconsciously is often richer than conscious perception alone. By attending to inner signals, we tap into a network of bodily, emotional, and cognitive data, forming an internal compass that navigates the complexity of life with grace and subtlety. Ultimately, intuition reminds us of our evolutionary heritage and our human uniqueness. It is the voice of experience, memory, and subtle environmental attunement. It is what allows us to sense storms before the sky darkens, perceive danger before it arrives, or recognize truth before it is articulated. Listening to intuition is a form of reverence for the body, the mind, and the invisible currents connecting us to the world. In a life dominated by information, speed, and distraction, intuition asks us to pause, to feel, and to trust the quiet intelligence residing within us.